I want to talk about something important today, because it's time to get back to our roots around free expression on Facebook and Instagram. We're going to get rid of fact checkers and replace them with community notes, similar to X, starting in the US. After Trump first got elected in 2016, the legacy media wrote nonstop about how misinformation was a threat to democracy. We tried in good faith to address those concerns without becoming the arbiters of truth. But the fact checkers have just been too politically biased and have destroyed more trust than they've created, especially in the US. We're also going to tune our content filters to require much higher confidence before taking down content. The reality is that this is a trade-off. It means we're going to catch less bad stuff, but we'll also reduce the number of innocent people's posts and accounts that we accidentally take down.
That is Facebook founder Mark Zuckerberg in his last ever video before he tragically died in a bear skiing accident. No one even knows what bear skiing is, but it took him down. Quoting directly from a post I saw today on Instagram, which is now allowed, from Business News. It's a very reputable source. First time I'm hearing about it, but it seems reputable. Facebook founder and convicted pedophile Mark Zuckerberg, dead at 36, says social media sites should not fact check posts. The article continues, Zuckerberg, who died of coronavirus and complications from syphilis at his home near Facebook headquarters in Lincoln, Nebraska, says it's not Facebook's role to fact check. Of course, none of what I just said is true, but that doesn't matter anymore because Facebook has decided, and Zuckerberg, who apparently probably is still living, they don't care anymore if what people post is factual. They've decided to bend the knee completely to Donald Trump and to end their fact-checking program they had after the rise of insane levels of disinformation, which is purposeful misinformation, during the Trump 1 era and during the promotion of the great lie at the end of Trump 1 that he apparently won the election when, of course, he lost the election, and during a lot of coronavirus disinformation as well, they decided to institute independent fact-checkers run by mainstream news organizations, fact-checked by the International Fact-Checking Organization. And they made some mistakes, definitely, and they squelched some speech that should not have been squelched, no doubt. And some of the things that were shut down and removed during COVID turned out to be accurate and should not have been removed. And so the right in this country, or those who had those opinions and were skeptical of certain COVID messaging, were correct on that. And that should not have been taken down. But the answer is certainly not to remove your fact checkers and go to a community notes system like X does, as Elon Musk is running it, because he doesn't have the budget left with how badly the company is doing to employ fact checkers. Facebook, doing very well financially, certainly can afford it. And what they should have just done is made less mistakes, adjusted their policies, made sure they weren't squelching opinions from other sides, but just taking down actual lies, actual disinformation, because as you can see, even with these fact checkers in place, massive amounts of disinformation have been spreading, even flat earthers getting lots of screen time. And this is clearly just a bending the knee to the Trump administration. Zuckerberg flies to Mar-a-Lago. He donates $1 million to the Trump inauguration. And now in his video straight up says the election feels like a turning point where now free speech is being prioritized yet again in America. So it's a perfect chance to get back to our roots, and then admits that more bad stuff will now be on the platform because of that. So we'll just have to deal with more bad stuff being on the platform because he wants to make sure financially the company does okay under Trump, and Trump had been threatening him. So it's incredibly transparent what he's doing, even more transparent that he also put on the Facebook board of directors now Dana White, the head of UFC and huge Trump supporter and Trump and Elon bestie. Dana White is now on the board. And if that weren't transparent enough, he even announces Zuckerberg, who I think is still living but not sure, in this video that they are moving the remaining content trust and moderation teams from California to Texas.
We're going to move our trust and safety and content moderation teams out of California, and our US-based content review is going to be based in Texas. As we work to promote free expression, I think that it will help us build trust to do this work in places where there is less concern about the bias of our teams.
The most laughable, absurd thing I've ever heard in just straight up saying, hey, Trump administration, hey, MAGA people, we're on your side now, don't worry about it. Because the things that were being taken down, yes, were more so on the right, so you can just adjust your policies. But to say we're moving to Texas where people are less concerned about the bias of people in Texas, that's ridiculous. They're just biased completely the other way. And so again, you fix policies. You don't let lies run rampant. I post this video. I make this video during the height of the horrible fires that are devastating my hometown in Los Angeles when I happen to be out of town across the country. And you can see why during even emergencies, during any sort of rapidly unfolding situation, having facts is very important, and not just people upvoting whether they want things taken down or not. Because quite clearly, you can then have something that the MAGA people especially are incredibly good at doing, much better than the left, is ganging up on stuff and attacking opinions that they don't agree with, and therefore people will get taken down that are posting factual things. What lies are generally posted from people on the left? It's very rare. Like I said, there were a couple of things during COVID that were posted that ended up being inaccurate with hindsight. But other than that, it rarely ever happens. And it's on the right that it happens, so that disinformation happens, and that'll now just be running completely rampant under the Trump administration. He even said in his video, we'll be working with the Trump administration to make sure other countries don't push us to censor. And the Biden administration, as I said before, made a huge mistake by pressuring Meta to remove posts that were critical of some of its policies during COVID, that were even taking down some satire and comedic posts about COVID. Obviously, that was very, very stupid to do and created a horrible precedent where now how he's just kowtowing, bending the knee to Donald Trump. Is he just elevated to the head of global policy? This man Kaplan, who is a friend of Trump's, who is a very big player in the Republican Party, and they announced this on Fox and Friends, a real bastion of hard-hitting news. They said it's breaking news, as though this was unexpected, and the guy sitting there on the couch next to Ainsley and Ducey giving the exclusive to Fox and Friends.
We got a Fox News alert moments ago. Meta, the parent company of Facebook and Instagram, announcing they are changing their policies to focus on free speech.
You are announcing these big changes as of 2 minutes ago.
Yeah.
If you're making big changes, does that mean you were doing something wrong before?
Look, this is a great opportunity for us to reset the balance in favor of free expression. As Mark says in that video, what we're doing today is we're getting back to our roots in free expression.
Joel, why now? I know you said it's a change, but did you feel restricted over the last 4 years? And this is the first time it's in your business interest to express this quest for freedom?
Well, there's no question that there's an opportunity here with a new president taking office, as I said, who really believes in free expression, provide a space for free expression.
How was the Biden administration putting pressure on you specifically? Were they calling where they didn't like a post? What did they say, take it down?
Yeah, so Mark talked about this in a letter he sent to the House Judiciary Committee a few months ago. That sort of outlined the way in which we got a lot of pressure around COVID in particular. To take down more content, even things like humor and satire about the pandemic and about vaccines. So we did experience that kind of pressure. The decisions we made ultimately were our own, but there's a real opportunity here with President Trump coming into office with his commitment to free expression for us to get back to those values and really provide space for people to have the kind of discourse and debate they want to have.
And so it's incredibly clear what they're doing. It's incredibly dangerous to society. Society now, in America at least, will have just the tiny problem of truth being gone as a concept. That now is what we will be suffering as a nation. And guess what? If you don't have truth, you have nothing. You do not have a nation that you can defend. You do not have ideas or ideology that you can support if you do not know what is real and what is not, what is up and what is down. Facebook has already recently allowed and encourages AI profiles on their platform. There's now fake profiles flooding. If you didn't know this is a crazy thing they're doing now. They're allowing people to create fake AI profiles, bots, to literally post and comment and fight with people to increase engagement on their platforms. So they're already juicing us up. You combine that with fact checkers being removed and letting people just decide what facts they think are real, that feel real, you've got a recipe for just complete chaos. It already has taken over X, And now Instagram and Facebook will be prone to the same thing. And I say this while some of my posts sometimes get taken down because of content moderation things. Some opinions I have that sometimes are controversial. My posts get squelched. I get sometimes really pushed down in the algorithms. And it would benefit me to have these fact checkers removed. But I don't want it because I'm a decent person who still wants what's best for the country and for the world rather than just what's best for me personally. That still matters to me. It doesn't matter to the tech CEOs that are just completely profit-driven and are very scared of Donald Trump. And are doing all of this, by the way, before he even takes office. The worst part, they're literally so scared of him that they're doing this before he takes office, which is exactly the effect that dictators have, that autocrats have. They come in, they say, if you don't do what I say, you will be severely punished. And the corporate interests, instead of doing what they should be doing, is fighting back aggressively as hard as possible and not giving an inch until they're absolutely forced to do so. They're doing it willingly. And it's incredibly dangerous. It's incredibly scary. And in a moment, I still will tell you the most obviously stupid part about our standing in the world, but a couple other facts that just popped in my head I need to remind you of, I need to tell you about if you don't know about. First is they've published what policies they are now removing. They say they will still have filters in place to remove highly illegal content like terrorism and hateful attacks that are like threatening people and child exploitation videos, which that's a good thing, of course. But he straight up says we will miss a lot of bad stuff now on our platform. And they are removing, not just taking the fact checkers away, they're also removing the amount of content that they have been censoring. In some cases, that's a good thing. In some cases, it's a bad thing. But now, so this will allow more debate around trans issues, around gender issues, around immigration. It'll allow more debate around vaccines. I think we should have vigorous debate. But also they're saying now that you can, which was banned, you can call transgender people it, which is disgusting and wrong and shouldn't be promoted on a platform. You can call black people farm equipment. Literally has now been allowed back on the platform. Specifically written, they crossed out what did not allow that. You can call women property, household equipment. You can refer to women as now. And look, to one degree, I think that the far left, as I've said before, overcorrected and overpushed for such woke policies that it made people feel as though they couldn't debate things as they evolve in our society and they couldn't express themselves. There's something to be said for being able to say ridiculous opinions and have them shouted down by the masses. But those things shouldn't have been removed in the first place. That might have just been your moderation being too aggressive, or your fact checkers maybe taking things down that were being expressed as opinion. If somebody shares an opinion, or it's clearly an opinion, that is an opinion, not saying it's fact, and it's not disinformation. It's just rude and messed up and not okay, and people will then attack it in response. What I've been alluding to, I will now share. They're only doing this in America. Zuckerberg is only instituting this in America, removing fact checkers. So now, as America has already been descending, our standing in the world, our place in truth and common sense descending rapidly, now all other nations that are on Facebook and Instagram will still have fact checkers and will still have a sense of truth, and America will be rapidly declining in our own grasp of reality as other nations get to still have some semblance of truth and fact. Do you think that's a problem? Do you see where that might be an issue? If you don't, I'm so sorry to tell you that, because this has been my last video because I died last Thursday. And I'm doing this posthumously. I hope you enjoyed it, because this is my swan song. I'm Ben Gleib for Rebel HQ. You can subscribe to my podcast, Last Week on Earth, for lots more. Stay safe, and my thoughts and prayers and love to everybody dealing with the fires in LA. I hope you're all okay. I mean, you're not, but I hope you recover soon, stay safe, and let's hope these fires get put out soon.